Alright guys, today we are heading out to a service call, kind of slash AC and heating. Basically they're saying that, you know, every winter they used to have to go up, and every winter they'd have to go up in the attic and manually switch from heat to cool. So they'd have to like flip some switch, but they're getting ready to sell the house, and they don't want to put the new home buyers in a situation where they have to constantly do this. So I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about, but we're gonna go out here and check it out. So heading up to Rocklin right now. So I thought I'd bring you along. It sounds like an interesting call. Okay, so yeah, this is a pretty weird system. I don't get 24 volts to the zone 2 thermostat upstairs unless I switch this over to heat. So we have a 2-zone system, upstairs and downstairs. One heat, one cool. And when I switch this over, I'll get 24 volts to W upstairs, which will allow the zone motor to open. So we're gonna switch this zone board out so that nobody has to keep coming up here and switching that switch. That's some old school zone board there. One thing I really like to do is take pictures of the wiring as it is right now, and that helps me if I get stuck later with the wiring and where everything was before, where it should go now with the new board. So let's go ahead and change this board out. Okay, so here we got our low voltage transformer that was originally wired into the zone board. Equipment wire going to the furnace. I hooked up the common as well to the common terminal. And now we're going to hook up the 2 thermostats. And now we're going to hook up the 2 thermostats. One for zone 1, one for zone 2. kind of weird that you got W, Y, G, and R, which are your typical connections, but they've also hooked up B and O for, I don't know, heat pump or something, maybe. So this wire that goes back down to the zone 1 thermostat isn't hooked up at B and O, or the blue and brown wires aren't hooked up, just the standard red, green, yellow, and white. So yeah, so we won't be hooking B and O up to the new zone board. Okay, so now we have zone 1 downstairs and zone 2 downstairs wired up. Now we just need to hook in the dampers that actually open and close for the airflow upstairs and downstairs. Okay, we got both zones open now, both zones on. System is up and running. Now we gotta do some airflow checks. And since we're here and we have about a 20-year-old system, I'm gonna go ahead and just double check this heat exchanger and make sure everything is good here. So I'm just gonna do a quick visual check. One of the most common places that the heat exchangers crack is right on the eyelets, just inside. So Fox Family Heating and Air, this is Greg. How can I help you? Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Absolutely. We can get out there for you. Let me grab my pen here. I'm up in an attic right now, so... Okay, I'm not seeing a lot of stress on the heat exchanger. I'm not even seeing a lot of, like, some of the darker stress points that the system will get over time. So, it's a train. Seems to be in pretty good shape, so I'm not going to go into it too much more than that. So I've been to a couple heat exchanger classes before, and one thing you can do is go in, pretty much just go in right at the high limit switch, and just inside you'll see two eyelets where the two shells basically take two pieces of sheet metal. And stamp them together, and then they're held together sometimes in the center by ringlets or eyelets that have been pushed through. So the metal will fold and then clamp on to the other half of the piece of sheet metal, and that clamshell comes together. This one is a serpentine heat exchanger. So those two pieces of metal that started out as flat pieces of metal get molded, pushed together, and then pressed together, held together by the eyelets. And one of the first things to go on a bad heat exchanger is the eyelets start to crack. So I looked inside here and I didn't see anything. I don't even see really that much stress going on that metal, because that metal expands and contracts over and over and over, 2,000 to 3,000 times every winter. And that's for years and years and years. This one's been doing it for 20 years. And that's why any system over 5 years old, 10 years old, you want to make sure you're looking at that heat exchanger to see if that metal has been expanding and contracting so much that cracking is starting to happen. Okay guys, well, we got that house up and running, so that was nice. And we did a little safety check of the heat exchanger as well. So yeah, basically that old zone board was set up in a way that you literally had to like manually go up there and switch it from cool to heat. It would come on in heat, but zone 2 wouldn't work unless you had manually switched it over. And that ain't right. So we put a Honeywell zone board on there and tested it in heating, cooling, first floor, second floor, and everything seemed to be working just fine. So we're good to go on that house. Got them up and running, and we'll move on to the next call. So thanks for watching.